talk some Bitcoin. Hitting higher highs, traded above 118K for the very first time today. Let's bring in Tanea McKeel, who's been following that story. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Scott, quite different from the May 22 high, which was more of a blip at the front of a 2-month consolidation period, as many investors called it, despite a 15% gain. The rise started this week after the Fed minutes on Wednesday. That triggered a massive wave of short liquidations that pushed the price up. I think the biggest wave this year, more than $650 million liquidated in the past 24 hours. Meanwhile, Bitcoin ETFs seeing their biggest day of inflows this year yesterday at more than $1 billion. Now, investors, of course, expected new records in the second half, given strong institutional demand and regulatory tailwinds. It's hard in my conversations for a lot of investors to identify downside risk, and historically, July is a strong month for Bitcoin. It'd probably take a macro event to hit or suppress prices. Macro catalysts, of course, are typically fewer in the summer, and investors tend to pare back their risk. I'd watch the Fed meeting at the end of the month, knowing how split Fed officials are and how aggressively to cut. And, of course, ETH coming back to life, so much so that we have this new crop of ETH treasury stocks for investors to play. ETH outperforming Bitcoin the last 2 months and really roaring this week. ETH ETFs saw their second biggest day of inflows yesterday. Scott?
All right, Tanea, thank you for that. Good setup. Tanea McKeel. Josh Brown, what do you think here?
I'm long Bitcoin. I don't really have a target or any idea of where it's going. I've been involved for a really long time, since about 3,000, I think, and intend to stay. Recently, I've taken a much bigger interest in Solana. Solana probably gets an ETF at some point between now and the end of the year. This will raise awareness and drive a lot more people to learn about what it is and why it matters. The most important thing the viewers need to understand about Solana is, if you believe in the tokenization theme, that we're going to start tokenizing everything from farmland to buildings to the stock market, etc. This is the best vehicle because of the amount of throughput, the amount of transactions you can do every minute in Solana is higher than any other layer one. So that's the first thing that people need to understand. The second thing is, the more activity in Solana, the higher the amount of burning off tokens, which means decreasing supply. So this is the way that I would think about the opportunity going forward in crypto. Still long Bitcoin. It's hard to believe Bitcoin could 1,000x again, whereas some of the smaller tokens have more of a chance to be bigger winners prospectively looking out forward.
And you feel like there's enough, I guess, for lack of a better word, bandwidth, investor bandwidth, to focus outside of the pure play Bitcoin itself?
You know, you can't do what I'm describing with Solana, you can't do with Bitcoin. So stable coins are already a gigantic asset class in and of themselves. They have nothing to do with the things that you can do with Bitcoin. They have their own use case, and people are putting money into stable coins for different reasons than they might put money into another type of crypto. So the number one thing that we need to do, now that this is a maturing asset class that's got both government support and institutional sponsorship, we need to stop thinking about these things monolithically, like it's all one trade. That's a very primitive way of thinking about crypto. Now we need to start thinking about use cases that actually have a chance of becoming real. And again, one of the big drivers of Bitcoin last year was the introduction of the ETFs. There was no Solana ETF. There's a trust that you can buy off market, but you cannot buy this in a brokerage account yet. I think that'll come given the Trump administration's stance toward the asset class.